Ex thought I'll not catch her cheating if she uninvites me from the trip. She was wrong. This has been a whirlwind of events. I am in shock writing about it and need an outlet to express what's happened. My GF and I have had an amazing relationship and always wanted a future and family together. This all changed and I no longer know the person I once loved. Full disclosure, I have never suspected my girlfriend was capable of something like this. She has had the wool over everyone's eyes. In 2018, myself, my girlfriend and her mother planned a weekend trip together to Las Vegas for her mom's friend's 60th birthday. Plane tickets were bought, accommodation arranged, and a whole weekend of events was planned from January 11th to 14th. What could go wrong? Come Christmas time, said friend, 60F, from Las Vegas flew up to our hometown, where she is from, with her extended family to celebrate Christmas in Canada. She has a son, 37M. Over Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day, we hung out at this family's Airbnb house in our hometown, and I got to know them very well. I consider myself to be very observant, and I noticed zero interaction between the son, 37M, and my girlfriend, 24F. After Christmas, the family flew back to Las Vegas and awaited our arrival for the January weekend. Here is where I should have clued in, which I partially did, just not to the extent that would have helped. About a week before Las Vegas, my girlfriend informed me that the boyfriends of couples who were supposed to fly down to Las Vegas had bailed out on the trip, and slowly the trip was turning into a girls' trip. My girlfriend never outright expressed to me she didn't want me going, but did her best to assure me I wouldn't have fun there. 3 days before we leave, my girlfriend outright tells me I cannot come, accommodations have been rearranged, and I'm no longer invited on the trip. Given that I had paid for this trip, I was visibly upset. I expressed that I didn't feel as if this was a partnered decision, but rather her trying to intentionally exclude me from something I was invited to. Ultimately, she left the decision up to me. I decided it didn't feel right at this point to go unless I was convinced she wanted me there, which I wasn't. Friday came and went, she flew with her mom, I stayed home. My girlfriend ended up losing her passport down there. The lie detector test determined that was a lie. She stayed a few days extra and flew back. She met up with me the following Friday and told me she no longer is happy in our relationship and wants to break things off, hoping that we will get back together in the future. I protested but understood from our current spat that something wasn't right and that we should go our separate ways. Maybe one day we would get back together. This leads us all to today. For the last month, my ex-girlfriend and I have been communicating on and off, phone and texting, but have never seen each other. She has been extremely busy preparing for her teaching practicum, so I thought she and I would both initiate conversation and discuss our relationship and talk about working things out in the future. She and I both told each other we had no interest in seeing other people. On Valentine's Day, she even messaged me saying how we should be together and she misses me. After struggling to move on with my life, I decided today was the day I would head over to her parents' house, where she lives, and express my feelings and ask if this could be worked out once and for all. By pure coincidence, because nobody else was home at the time, and the kindness of a stepfather, the truth was revealed to me. I called her house and asked her stepdad respectfully if he'd allow me to come to the door and speak with my ex-him, and I got along great, and he said I'm always welcome to come and talk, but unfortunately, she is not there and neither is her mother. She is in Banff during her busy practicum weekend. Her stepfather sat me down and began with this: I'm assuming you're here because you don't know everything. If you knew everything, I don't think you'd be here. I have been told by my GF mom, and other family members not to tell you anything, but I have a lot of respect for you. My ex-wife of 10 years cheated on me, and I know how it feels. Anything you ask me, I will answer completely honestly. Confused, I sat down where everything had been explained to me. My girlfriend had begun an affair in Las Vegas with the son, 37F, of her mom's best friend. Every weekend since, he has been flying my ex-GF down to Las Vegas to meet him, and this past weekend took her to Banff with the whole family. Keep in mind, he is divorced and has 2 kids, 8 and 10. I am absolutely disgusted and feel sick about what really happened. I don't even know how this happened. I cannot thank this man enough for telling me the truth which nobody felt the need to pass on to me. I feel betrayed, deceived, heartbroken, and angry. Suffice to say, I am in an absolute state of shock. I simply texted her saying I know everything, never contact me again, and my phone has been blowing up ever since. Her demanding to know who told me, her denying what has happened, her being angry with me. I'm completely lost on Reddit. I thought I was going to marry this girl one day. How does someone change in the blink of an eye? I learned more about my girlfriend in 30 minutes than I did over the course of 3.5 years. Where do I go from here? Advice is very much welcome. Update: thanks for all the comments, everyone. I've read them all and they do show the upsides to this garbage situation. Since this crap storm began, my ex returned from her trip and figured out within a few hours who spilled the beans. Just to clarify, the stepdad assured me on my way out that he would be crucified for this, and had accepted his fate. Her house got turned upside down like the circus it is, and I've been being blamed for it all. I haven't responded to texts/calls from my ex, her mother, or their house. After denying what had taken place, I just assume at this point it will be more lies. She has every reason to lie about it. Whereas, the stepdad had every reason not to lie. Thanks again everyone for the support and advice. The succubus has been phone blocked and on all social media. I was shocked to find out my fiancé was hiding a terrible secret from me. I haven't told anyone besides the therapist I've seen and couples counselor my girlfriend and I have seen a few times since I found out. Even just writing that title is such a bizarre feeling, one that is a mixture of being completely numb and also wanting to scream at the top of my lungs and fall to my knees in despair. I don't really know what to write here. Maybe I'm just looking for some advice for this moment in particular. We met end of 2020 and it was everything I was searching for in a relationship. We had nearly impeccable communication, intense attraction, similar interests, and our core values aligned in a way that made me feel very comfortable with the idea of spending my life with her very early on. The biggest obstacle to overcome was that she is about 6 years older than me. She has always dated guys that are very well off, which makes sense in hindsight, but I am just now becoming established in my career and couldn't offer her that same stability. That caused many feelings of inadequacy within me, but she assured me that this connection was the one she had been waiting for, and the security that those previous men offered her wasn't enough. She helped me through these feelings of inadequacy. It was so refreshing to be with someone who I could bare my soul to, and she could do the same with me. She let me in on deep-seated childhood traumas, and I did the same. Even after finding out what I did, I still hold the belief that she is one of the strongest, most beautiful souls I've ever met, and I know she is somewhat a victim of circumstance. But now I'm lost, floating out in a void, knowing that I have an impossible choice to make. Do I walk away and lose the person I thought I would spend the rest of my life with, or do I stay and endure inevitable lack of trust and further feelings of inadequacy? I literally cannot win. I found out through a slip-up on her part. She sent me a screenshot that mistakenly had another tab open with a Proton email account. I sensed something was up since she had told me the only 2 email addresses she had, and that wasn't one of them. I waited until that night and inquired about it in a very calm and controlled manner, paying special attention to her reaction. She was very closed off and said it was just an old email she was getting some information off of. She then proceeded to need to take a shower, which she rarely does at night, and that gave me this very odd feeling. I just knew something was off. Finally, she opened the email, after first pretending to not know the password for several minutes. She had deleted everything while she was in the shower, except 3 emails she had forgot to clear in her sent box, which I asked her to open. They included meeting times and locations with clients and were very recent, within the last few weeks before that day. She came clean about everything. That she's been an accompaniment since she was 21, and that oftentimes she was meeting with high-profile clients, like executives from Fortune 500 companies, almost all of them married. She thought she could stop when she met me, but the financial insecurity was too much for her. I should say that our combined income puts us well within the middle class at the very least, so that really confused me. Perhaps being around all of these multi-millionaires all the time changed her perspective on what was acceptable for her in that regard. She has been seeing clients while I've been at work the entire time we've been together. Every moment we've spent together is now tainted with this. Every moment of laughter, of her spending time with my family, of us going on adventures together, planning our lives together, is now being drowned out by an indescribable feeling of agony. And I don't want to take away from what she's feeling either. I know that disappointing someone you care about is an equally sickening feeling, and so I'm trying to be compassionate about that. And now for the reason I decided to post here. I reached out to one of her clients. He was more of a regular for her. I guess I reached out to him to gain some sort of perspective. He knew about our relationship, and he knew it was heading towards marriage. I understand he doesn't owe me anything, and largely this isn't on him as much as the fault lies with my girlfriend. However, she told me that they shared details about their relationships, and I wanted to know if he felt any remorse or guilt for ducking my soon-to-be wife. He responded and told me that he felt bad for causing me pain, and that it was largely due to troubles in his childhood. That he thought of himself as a very good person, that he loved his family very much, and yet that didn't take away an underlying pain he felt which leads him to behave this way. He asked me if I had ever hurt people by mistakes I had made. He questioned how people are really accountable for their actions in general, and stated that humans are damaged creatures, that oftentimes good-hearted people are struck by horrible situations, while people with less of a moral compass get away with things. I didn't respond to this email. Even though I disagreed with certain things he said, it was enough of what I was looking for reaching out to him in the first place. I was ready to forget about him, and leave that aspect of the situation in the past. Until he reached out to my girlfriend a week later, via another form of correspondence she had since come clean about and that he didn't know I knew about, asking when they could meet again, stating nothing had really changed with their arrangement and he had a burning desire to see her. My girlfriend and I have been going through a living hell since I found out, trying to piece things together or figure out if it's even possible, and here this sick duck is wanting to defile her like she's a meat puppet. I have never experienced what I would characterize as pure evil until seeing his most recent email to her. So here's what I'm left with. Do I contact his wife? I have all of her information, and have written an email to her with all the details enclosed. I know revenge is a cocktail that poisons everyone involved, but I can't sleep knowing this guy is going to go home to his wife every day, who is a hard-working woman who has her own medical practice, and pretend nothing is wrong. My girlfriend thinks it's unfair to her to uproot her life like that, to play God so to speak, and that we should just ignore him and try to move past it. I feel sick for his children, to be raised by such a man, and sick for his wife to be in the dark like this. Any advice is greatly appreciated, and I apologize if I come across as naive. I'm just trying to keep it together right now and not completely snap. Wife cheated because I didn't give her enough attention, but I am not a security blanket, so I packed my stuff and left her with child of infidelity. We got married almost 2 months ago. Yes, you read that correctly, 2 months ago. We have been together for almost 3 years. I caught her in the act by complete coincidence. She had been out with me and a couple of friends. I came home early due to working the entire day and being exhausted. She hadn't talked to me in hours and I texted her with no reply, so I texted our friends and asked her if she was okay, and they sent a picture back of her on the phone and that they were coming home soon. It was almost 3 a.m. She had been buried in her phone and drinking all night, so I just thought, this is odd, because it's 3 a.m., who could she be possibly talking to? I asked her about it when she got home. She lied of course and said it was friend, and for the first time in our relationship, I said prove it, and made her show me her phone. Of course, it was another man. My wife and I work at the same facility, in different areas, and she had talked about meeting this guy about a month prior and talked about how he was good at his job. I left and came back to talk the next day. She lied for the first few days, lied about it, tried to play it off like they were just friends. Eventually the truth had to come out, because I asked to see phone records and everything else. They had been texting/messaging nonstop, mostly just talk, but plenty of inappropriate messaging, flirting, you name it. To be honest, our relationship was picture perfect. We communicated our feelings and thoughts frequently. Our sex life has never been better. We were actually planning on starting to try to have kids. We spent quality/frequent time together. Her father passed away. Although they were not close, it hurt her immensely. She was distraught, but that happened more than 6 months ago. There was a situation that transpired at work that brought those memories back up, and this man came in at a vulnerable time in her life and took advantage. It doesn't condone her actions, but that is her scapegoat. She has had a pretty ducked up childhood with abandonment issues and other problems, but I've never given her any shadow of any doubt that I was leaving. I have always been honest, loving, and caring. As the last week has transpired, more information has continued to come out. More truths, but only because I've pried to get it out. It is devastating, but I didn't have the affair, so I want to at least know what the hell happened. The night that I found out, she was begging for him to call her and talk to her. She did this as soon as I left. Of course, she tells me she doesn't remember much of it, and that he didn't mean anything to me. Which, I know, is bullcrap. I don't know what to do. I'm 24, financially stable in a high-income job. I'm physically fit, fairly good-looking, and dependent. The guy she had the emotional affair with is a raging alcoholic, has a severe criminal record, was notorious for beating his ex-GFs and wives, 12 years older than her, and honestly a lunatic. This wouldn't be the first marriage he has wrecked. She didn't know any of that when talking to him, of course. I love her more than I've ever loved another human, but she continues to lie and deceive me. Nothing was ever physical, as far as I know, and she suggested marriage counseling and therapy for herself. I want to believe this will never happen again, but I don't want it to happen when it's too late. She did this 1 month into our marriage. 1 month. We had just gotten back from our honeymoon, for duck's sake, we hadn't even got our wedding pictures back. The affair went on for a month. She has since blocked him on social media, blocked his number, and quit communicating with him altogether, including work. They now work different shifts, shouldn't be an issue. I want to help her as she has a legitimate problem. Personally, I think she's addicted to attention. Somebody showed interest in her feelings, somebody showed interest in the way she looked, and she fed off of it. I don't know if this is a psychological problem or if this is just somebody who has no moral judgment. I'm emotionally destroyed and confused on what to do. She wanted the certainty of me, but the thrill of him. She broke her vows to me, but I won't break mine, and I'll at least try. I'm not irrational. I've been in long-term relationships where communication has lacked significantly. This is not one of them. I really don't have a genuine reason for her to do this at all, especially at a high point in our relationship altogether. Update. We are approximately 9 days past D-Day. More details have begun to arise. I found out the whole truth as to what was said between them and the reasoning behind the phone calls. Regardless of her illogical fallacy she lives under, she was wrong. The conversations were more complex than I originally had anticipated. However, in retrospect, when her and I originally started dating, she had just broken up with her ex-boyfriend of 3 to 4 years. She told me the reason she didn't love him anymore was because he never paid attention to him. Should have been a red flag to me as I was progressing through this. So, that's the same card she was playing with this guy. He doesn't care about me, and he doesn't pay attention to me. Which is entirely inaccurate, obviously. What is the correct psychological/infidelity term for that? Seeking sympathy and garnering attention through it. Anyway, I found out she had never tried to stop the conversations. I caught the emotional affair in the early stages. He had just started making sexual advances. Saying things like, "I want to sleep with you, nobody will know." And instead of being any rational, loyal, loving wife, she just would say things like, "I can't." As a matter of fact, the last time he made a sexual reference, she said, "I just had my IUD taken out, we are trying to have a kid." And he literally said, "There are ways to prevent you getting pregnant." Believe me, it's devastating, but also gratifying knowing I know the details and the truth. She willingly sought attention from another guy and had no regards for her vows or for me. Therefore, my vows to her become invalid. Maybe I could understand if any of that were true, but it's not. Not even close. We went on dates frequently, had intimate conversations frequently. She was always posting on social media about how much she loved me and things of that nature. This was done out of pure selfishness. I am not naive, nor am I oblivious enough to believe there probably wasn't worse that was said. I have moved out, took all my things, but initially I agreed to try counseling and therapy for her. It's a waste of time, she's playing the trickle truth game, and anybody that can lie like that is just not the person I want to spend my life with, especially after only a month of marriage. Just like many Redditors have said, she seeks the attention. She wants her cake and she wants to eat it too. I am not a security blanket. I refuse to spend my life wondering and scared. I love her, but not enough to spend my life miserable and unhappy. I have moved my stuff out. We have agreed to a dissolution. We are meeting Friday at the courthouse to pick them up. She had an opportunity with a guy who loves her, accepts her, would be a great father and good husband. I'm too young and we were far too early into our marriage for infidelity. Life goes on, I'm hurt, confused and ready to take the next step forward in my life. I plan on going back to school to get master's degree as I cope with this. I will post updates on my life as they happen, and I thank everyone for their unbiased opinions. Update. Now, the bombshell. She called me yesterday and told me that she had taken 3 pregnancy tests, and she is pregnant. She had her IUD removed sometime in December, and we were having unprotected sex up until late January. She had the Mirena IUD, hormonal. It is most certainly a possibility, although highly unlikely given that it takes a while for the uterine wall to thicken enough to conceive. Again, it is possible, I work in medicine, I'm very acclimated to this. Now, to the nitty-gritty, I went over to our house yesterday and basically forced her to take a pregnancy test right in front of me. The results were inconclusive, but from what I've read, more than likely positive. She did show me the 3, I'm aware, easily fakeable, positive tests. She doesn't want to stop the dissolution. She wants to proceed forward regardless, as do I. Now, here is the actual situation. A blood test is the most accurate test to determine if somebody is actually pregnant. I offered that to her yesterday, and that I would pay for it. She was hesitant. Basically stating weird things like, "Why don't you just believe me, and why would I make this up," type of thing. I held my cool. Basically explained that this has to be done ASAP. She wants to proceed with the dissolution without addressing the potential child. It's ironic, she scheduled her OBGYN appointment 3 days after the dissolution is finalized. Obviously, that can't move forward, I don't think she knows that though. This isn't a ploy to get me back. However, she was saying things like I can do this alone, and she kept repeating them over and over and over again. She did tell me, which is extremely odd. If you were pregnant, wouldn't you want a blood test ASAP to confirm? Especially with the risk of ectopic pregnancy and other things given that she just had her IUD taken out. It's almost like she wants to be pregnant, wants me to not be a part of the child's life, so I can really look like the bad guy here. I come from a good family, raised with family values, and I would never in a million years not take responsibility. I will be an excellent father, and if she actually is pregnant, the child will be loved like no child ever before. I don't know how to basically force her to get a true blood test. I don't know what to do about the dissolution at this point, and I also don't know how to approach the DNA testing to even ensure that the child is mine. I don't believe her infidelity ever got physical, so the likelihood of it being mine would be about 99%. I know I will have to get a lawyer at this point, especially if she actually is pregnant for custody reasons. How do I actually convince her to take the test ASAP? She's not really being reasonable and agreeing to this, almost with the mindset like it's my baby, I can do what I want. I honestly can't believe this is happening, but I do believe what she is telling me is true. She doesn't want reconciliation, in fact, I think she just wants me out of the picture entirely, which is exhausting. Hopefully, somebody will tell me what I need to move forward, because we most certainly need the confirmation test ASAP to figure out the dissolution situation. This has been devastating, and it just keeps getting worse. Help. Update. So, we're about a month past D-Day here, and if you've been following my posts, you know now that she is pregnant. It is confirmed. I watched her take multiple tests over the past few days. She scheduled her appointment with the OBGYN next month for an ultrasound and for an appointment. I was mistaken in my last post. Her IUD was actually removed January 7th, and she actually never had a period during the time frame allotted since the removal of the IUD. Hence, making it impossible to be sure how far along she is. More than likely, she became pregnant from January 14th to 20th, which is confirmed that we had unprotected sex during that time frame a few times. She first tested positive on Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. She had been taking them for a few weeks. Regardless, I'm definitely getting a DNA test/paternity. If nothing else, for peace of mind. It's almost 100% likely mine, even if she have physical relations with another man. I don't believe what she is telling me about the conversations, phone calls, and everything that was happening between her and this guy. It just doesn't make any sense. The information she has provided has been very shady at best, and it doesn't really correlate at all or make sense. I still truly don't believe that she ever got physical with him, but I'm not totally eliminating the possibility. Some Redditors hit the nail on the head with it. She's only telling me what she has to or what can be proven. I believe it was probably much more intricate and malicious than what I'm being led on to believe. If what she is telling me is true, no guy is going to blow her up trying to get with her. They would be bored, and if she didn't show interest, it couldn't possibly have continued. I was with her the next day post D-Day, and he tried to message her again. I believe they were talking a lot more regularly than she leads on. Our trust is completely broken, and I think she is a pathological liar. I don't believe our relationship is able to be fixed, so the dissolution will be finalized at some point. Unfortunately, I will have to postpone the date and redo the paperwork including the child, barring there are no issues with the child in the meantime. Unfortunately, the likelihood of loss is probably much higher due to the hormones from the IUD and the amount of stress she is under. Luckily, I don't believe child support or alimony will be necessary. She works in the same field as me and actually makes about the same amount of money. We are both well off, so to speak. Honestly, I would be okay with 50-50ths, which is more than likely going to be the outcome. I initially freaked out when I found out, didn't know what to do, and the thought of reconciliation crossed my mind. I realized how idiotic that is/was and realized that it's really not applicable at this point. I have been cordial and nice only because I want to be at the first appointment for the ultrasound, blood work, etc. Somebody in my last post said it best: there is absolutely nothing I can do at this point. Sit back. Relax. Work. Make money. Wait. The next few months will be brutal, they already are. I'm hurting, and quite honestly, it's the only thing that consumes my thoughts. I'm at a place in my life where I would be a good father, and I'm excited for that, but the situation the poor child is being brought into is devastating. My heart breaks for the child, especially if the child is not actually mine. I will love that child more than any other human could love another human. My wife, I use that loosely, here deceived me in the worst possible way imaginable. I would have rather it been physical. I still hurt over it. I love the girl, but there's no way she felt the same type of love I have for her to do this to me. It's mind-boggling, and I don't think in my life I will ever understand. Maybe some people just don't have the conscience that I do, but I would never do that. It's hard for me to sit and wait around though, I'm very impatient. I like to have a plan for the grand scheme of things. I've been that way since I was a teenager. Hence, why I'm at where I am in other aspects of life. I am not a perfect person, but I am good, kind, and caring. Those are my best attributes, and sometimes it's nice to hear that from other people. The mutual friends are no longer her friends. They found out the truth as well, despite her going around telling her family and friends complete lies. So my last month has really sucked. My wife, the girl I love, has an emotional affair, lies about all of it and ruins our marriage, gets cornered, goes out and tells people what's happening and spreads a bunch of bullcrap lies about me when I literally did nothing wrong, and then I find out she's pregnant. It's been a ducking roller coaster of crap. This is my darkest hour. Update. So, we're officially 1 month past D-Day, and more details of the affair continue to come out. More than likely had an affair with another coworker at some point, more than likely was physical with the guy I caught her in the emotional affair with. The child is still more than likely mine. I met with an attorney recently and the results were as I expected. My state seems to favor the mother substantially in this situation, but after a few years, it equals out. Luckily, we still can proceed with the dissolution as scheduled, just have to address the child and DNA test. That's the good news, I suppose. I've moved into my new apartment and things are going well, just debilitating situation and oftentimes very lonely. I would be lying if I wasn't scared of the future. Been focusing on work and working on my physique, just trying to stay busy to distract myself from what's going on. I'm in a mess and my attorney even said, I've been practicing law for 30 plus years and if I've ever heard of something like this. Luckily, our marriage wasn't long and it protects me regardless if she tried to get messy. It's been tough to mentally prepare myself as details continue to come out. It's been tough to prepare myself that I'm going to be 24 years old and a single father. Again, luckily I have plenty of family support and I will be okay. I'm scared. Scared of what the future holds, and I know that eventually I'll find somebody new, but who wants a 24-year-old single dad? That kind of thing is on the back burner until this situation resolves, but I'm a planner and it makes things difficult. Just a waiting game. Thanks for the support. Hate this for myself and I'd be lying if I didn't feel sorry for myself. Infidelity sucks.